Hey, Dodgers fans. Today we've got a lot to unpack about your team, and trust me, it's going to get a little complicated, but also really fascinating. We're diving straight into the latest buzz surrounding one of the players who has been quietly under the radar for a while now, and that's Teoscar Hernandez. There's been so much chatter this offseason about the Dodgers making moves in the outfield, acquiring new talent, or shuffling pieces around, but Hernandez wasn't supposed to be part of this conversation at all. Then, out of nowhere, a report surfaced that has suddenly put his name into the mix, and now everyone is trying to figure out what it could mean. So, let's start at the beginning. Hernandez's name appeared in trade talks unexpectedly. For a lot of fans, this felt like it came out of left field, pun intended, but it's interesting to see how quickly the dynamics in baseball can shift. The key question is whether this is something the Dodgers are actively exploring or if it's just other teams poking around, seeing if he might be available. There's no definitive answer yet, but from what we can gather, it seems like the Dodgers are more in a listening mode than actively trying to trade him. They're evaluating offers as they come in, which makes sense given the way the team is structured right now. Hernandez is in a tricky spot. He has had some struggles defensively, especially last season, which has limited where the Dodgers can effectively use him. With Shohei Ohtani locked in as a full-time designated hitter, Hernandez can't simply slide into that role, which makes his positioning in the lineup a real puzzle. The team has been looking at him primarily for left field, but even there, the fit isn't perfect because of the way the Dodgers roster is already stacked. This is why his potential trade value is tied to both his bat and the defensive challenges he presents. Teams that are in need of a strong hitter but can accommodate some defensive limitations might see him as a valuable addition. When you look at the bigger picture, you start to see why Boston, among others, has come up in these discussions. The Red Sox are primarily a left-handed team and have been trying to strengthen their roster with consistent bats. They've got considerations like Alex Bregman and their current outfield composition, which makes a player like Hernandez an intriguing option. He could provide some flexibility at DH while still offering occasional contributions in the field, though it's clear that defensively, he's not what he once was. For the Dodgers, any trade offer would have to be substantial because giving up a player of his caliber, even with defensive limitations, is not a simple decision. One of the most interesting aspects of this situation is how the Dodgers' current roster influences Hernandez's role. The team has been shaping itself around certain key positions, and with Ohtani at DH, Hernandez is not going to see as much time there. If the Dodgers were to move him, it would almost certainly require them to bring in additional outfield depth, either through trades or free agency, which complicates the scenario even more. Essentially, any potential deal involving Hernandez triggers a ripple effect across the roster. The team would need to replace his presence in the outfield while also maintaining balance in the lineup. From a fan perspective, this is where it becomes both exciting and nerve-wracking. Hernandez has been a key contributor to recent successes, and his bat is certainly valuable, but the defensive struggles cannot be ignored. The Dodgers front office has to weigh the benefits of receiving a strong package in return against the potential gaps that could open up if he were moved. If they can acquire two capable outfielders or a combination of players who can reliably cover both the field and the lineup, then the trade starts to make sense. Otherwise, it could be a situation where the team weakens itself defensively, which is a risk no championship contender wants to take lightly. The conversations around Hernandez also highlight a larger theme in baseball management: the delicate balance between maximizing offensive output and maintaining a solid defensive structure. Hernandez's bat is undoubtedly valuable, and any team looking at him will have to consider how to utilize it without overexposing his defensive vulnerabilities. For the Dodgers, it's a balancing act. They have to assess whether listening to trade offers is the best approach, or if they should hold on to Hernandez and continue finding ways to integrate him effectively into the roster. There's also the human element here. Hernandez is not just a statistic on a spreadsheet. He's a player with a proven track record, someone who has contributed to big wins and championship runs. Fans are invested in him, and any decision to move him will have emotional as well as strategic implications. It's easy to get lost in the numbers and the hypotheticals, but the reality is that Hernandez has earned his spot and the Dodgers management has to respect that while still considering the future of the team. Looking at it from another angle, potential trade partners like Boston have their own calculations. They have to weigh how Hernandez fits into their lineup, what they might need to give up in return, and how his presence would impact team dynamics. It's a negotiation that requires careful thought from both sides. For Los Angeles, it's not just about who might be interested. It's about whether the return justifies giving up a player who has proven to be a consistent contributor, even if there are limitations. In the end, Hernandez's situation illustrates the complexity of roster management at the highest level of baseball. The Dodgers are navigating a landscape where every move can have multiple consequences, from lineup adjustments to defensive alignments to overall team chemistry. Each offer has to be evaluated not just on immediate gains, but also on how it positions the team for a full season of 162 games. The strategy involves considering the trade-off between immediate offensive power and long-term defensive stability, all while keeping the championship window in mind. Fans should pay close attention to how this unfolds because Hernandez's name coming up in trade discussions doesn't necessarily mean he's going anywhere, but it does signal that the Dodgers are actively exploring options and listening to the market. It's a scenario that will require both patience and careful analysis as the team weighs its priorities for the offseason. Every rumor, every report, and every statement from insiders can shift perceptions, but the core question remains the same. How do the Dodgers maximize their roster without compromising the strengths that have made them champions in recent seasons? Continuing with the Dodgers and Teoscar Hernandez situation, it's clear that the offseason is shaping up to be one of the more intriguing periods in recent memory. The questions surrounding Hernandez are not just about one player. They touch on broader roster strategies and how the team intends to position itself for another championship run. With Hernandez's bat still a major asset, any trade would need to be evaluated against the backdrop of what the Dodgers might gain and lose. It's one of those scenarios where the value isn't purely numerical. It's about fit, flexibility, and long-term planning. From a performance perspective, Hernandez has proven he can hit at a high level. His offensive stats, particularly his ability to drive in runs and provide consistent production, make him a tempting target for teams looking to add a reliable bat. But the Dodgers are faced with a challenge. They cannot simply plug him into any position without considering the consequences. Left field has been the most likely destination, but it's not a perfect solution. The defensive limitations that have emerged over the past season mean that Hernandez will have to share time or potentially adjust his role if he remains with the team. The Dodgers' outfield is crowded, and integrating him effectively without weakening other areas requires careful planning. Trade talks often come with a level of speculation that can be hard to navigate. Hernandez's name appearing in conversations with other teams doesn't automatically mean a deal is imminent, but it does indicate that the Dodgers are open to exploring their options. Teams like Boston, who are seeking offensive reinforcements, may view Hernandez as a piece that could fit into their lineup in a meaningful way. They have their own priorities, such as solidifying their DH spot and balancing left-handed versus right-handed hitting, and Hernandez could help fill gaps while providing depth. The key question is whether the Dodgers receive an offer that aligns with their needs, one that gives them flexibility to either maintain or strengthen their roster without leaving holes in the outfield. There's also the strategic layer to consider. The Dodgers have long been a team that evaluates trades not just in isolation, but in the context of the entire roster. If they were to move Hernandez, they would need to think about how to replace him. That could involve signing free agents, making other trades, or relying on players already within the organization. Each choice has ripple effects. Adding multiple players could improve depth, but it also carries the risk of disrupting chemistry or creating uncertainty in key positions. Hernandez's potential trade isn't just about what another team might offer. It's about how that offer interacts with the Dodgers' existing plans for the season. Another aspect that cannot be overlooked is the fan perspective. Hernandez has been a recognizable and reliable presence for Los Angeles, and any discussion about moving him generates strong opinions. Fans have seen what he can do at the plate and remember his contributions in high-stakes moments. His offensive output is undeniable, but when paired with defensive concerns, it becomes a balancing act for the front office. There's also an emotional component. Players like Hernandez become part of the team identity, and trading them affects not just the roster, but also the connection with the fan base. Management has to consider that while making the most strategic decision for the team's competitive future. From a tactical perspective, Hernandez's role as a potential designated hitter adds complexity. With Ohtani firmly established at DH, Hernandez cannot simply slide into that position full-time. That limitation is significant because it restricts where the Dodgers can use him effectively without compromising their lineup elsewhere. If Hernandez were to move to another team, it would free up some space and potentially allow Los Angeles to acquire other players who can fill both offensive and defensive needs more consistently. In this way, a trade could be mutually beneficial, but only if the right package comes back in return. Evaluating Hernandez's situation also highlights the nuances of modern baseball management. Teams are constantly balancing multiple variables: offensive production, defensive alignment, player health, and long-term development. Hernandez's value is not static. It changes depending on context. For example, a team with a strong DH position but gaps in the outfield might see him as a perfect fit, whereas the Dodgers have to weigh whether they can absorb his defensive liabilities while maintaining a strong overall roster. That's why trade conversations take time and involve multiple layers of analysis. It's worth noting that Hernandez's situation could influence other moves the Dodgers make this offseason. If they decide to entertain offers seriously, they will need to simultaneously explore options for adding outfield depth, either through free agency or other trades. This creates a chain reaction. Each decision about Hernandez affects potential moves in other areas of the roster. The front office has to carefully assess not just the immediate benefits of a trade, but also the downstream impact on team composition and performance over a full season. Another point to consider is the market itself. Teams interested in Hernandez will evaluate him based on both current performance and projected value. While he has some defensive limitations, his bat can change games. A team with a specific need in hitting could view Hernandez as a key piece to achieving their objectives, particularly if they have a roster spot where he can contribute without exposing weaknesses elsewhere. The Dodgers, on the other hand, must consider whether such interest translates into an offer that truly strengthens their roster. A trade that doesn't deliver meaningful return would not be worth moving a player of his caliber. At the same time, Hernandez represents a classic baseball dilemma: the balance between talent and fit. He brings undeniable skills to the plate, but his defensive struggles cannot be ignored. For the Dodgers, it's a question of maximizing value. Can they leverage Hernandez's offensive production to gain pieces that improve the team overall, or is his presence on the roster still the best option despite the defensive challenges? The answer requires careful analysis, foresight, and a willingness to make tough decisions. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. Whispers are growing louder across Major League Baseball circles as the Los Angeles Dodgers appear to be gearing up for a move that could shake the league to its core. According to sources close to the organization, the Dodgers are preparing what insiders are calling a mega offer for superstar shortstop Fernando Tatis Jr. The young phenom who has electrified fans and redefined expectations with his explosive combination of power, speed, and charisma. The buzz started subtly, with murmurs among agents and front office executives, but it has rapidly escalated into what many are now considering a potential blockbuster negotiation. The Dodgers, known for their aggressive approach in building championship-caliber rosters, reportedly see Tatis as the missing piece to elevate their already formidable lineup into untouchable territory. The offer, according to insiders, is expected to be unprecedented in scale, both in terms of financial commitment and length, signaling the team's willingness to bet big on a player whose ceiling seems limitless. Sources suggest that talks could include complex arrangements that go beyond the standard contracts, possibly involving incentives, extensions, and clauses that secure Tatis' presence in Los Angeles for years to come. While nothing has been officially confirmed, The very fact that the Dodgers are considering such a move has sent shockwaves through the league, prompting speculation among rival teams about how far Los Angeles is willing to go to land one of baseball's brightest stars. For fans and analysts alike, the mere possibility of Tatis donning the Dodgers uniform is enough to spark endless debates. Could this be the transformative addition that propels the Dodgers into a new era of dominance? Or is this all just noise, a rumor inflated by the excitement that surrounds one of the game's most exciting talents? Either way, the baseball world is watching closely, eager for any hint of confirmation, knowing that the landscape of the sport could change dramatically if this mega offer comes to fruition. In the meantime, chatter continues in clubhouses and front offices across the league, with insiders dropping cryptic comments and journalists piecing together fragments of information. Whatever unfolds, one thing is clear. Fernando Tatis Jr. is at the center of a whirlwind of speculation, and if the Dodgers' rumored pursuit is real, the MLB offseason, or perhaps the entire landscape of the league, is about to get a lot more interesting. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.